Hello, good morning. My name is John Robert Lopez. I'm from BSIT 2, Section 5, and I am here to present my code, which is a midterm project, and it is a system. This is for the ADET subject, which is ADET, and this is a Dart code system. And basically, I made a bank account system, and basically, I know it's a simple one, but I added a little quality of life to it just to make sure that it's easily readable, easily understandable, and I will explain it in a later date. So first off, as you can see here, this is the start. So basically, I got the bank account class here. This is where the deposit function and the withdrawal function is, and this is the double balance. And as you can see here, this part here is the main function. So as you can see, we're using a map array to make sure that there's going to be no duplicates. And of course, this is our options here. And we're using a switch and if-else statement. And also later on, we can see here that we're using a while loop here just to make sure that, if this so that when we are done with one function, it resets back into the bank menu, just to make sure that we're not gonna have to run the code again and again just so we're back into this state. So as you can see, we're using if statements and switch statements, and this is the end of the code. So I know there's not much explanation, but I'm basically just telling you the functions because I'm gonna be explaining everything else in this part here. So now I'm gonna be running the code. And as you can see here, it starts off with welcome to my Dart bank system with an account system. So as you can see, there's a register screen, there's a register option, login and exit. And it looks, and I'm sure that you noticed there's a little description in the right part. Of course, that's the quality of life that I was talking about. You see, not a lot of people are fluent with English. Even those people who have learned English are not that much familiar with other terminologies or terms. And as you can see, register and login are already something that people would know, but this is for the beginners who really don't know anything, just to make sure that they have a general idea of what this function does, just to make sure that it will help them understand the terminologies better. So as you can see, there's a register, login, and exit option. So if we try to log in and use a username, which hasn't been registered yet, of course it says that the username does not exist. That's the part of the system that I was making. I'm really proud of that. And it's simple, but it's a good security measure. And as you can see here, we're just gonna hit on register. And no, it's not as complicated as the actual bank account systems, but since this is just a little presentation and just a little venture of my idea of what system I want to make or I can make, then I'm creating this. So now we have entered the register. It says if you enter a username. So you're gonna put a username that you want to make, and of course a password. As you can see, once you're done, the account creation is now successful. Now you can log in using those credentials. So now as you can see here, if I log in and click and put greed, which is the username that I made, it will go on and continue and says enter your password. So now what if I make a wrong password? What if I enter the wrong password? Of course, it says incorrect password. And of course, now let's see here. Here's greed, and then of course we're gonna enter the password. And once it's done, it will now direct you into the bank menu. So now as you can see here, we got the deposit, withdraw, check balance, and log out. As you can see the descriptions in the side, not a lot of people really know what deposit, withdraw, and check balance is. Because, from when I was elementary, from what I knew about balance, it's balancing my body. Like how I'm able to stand up or walk properly or balancing on a beam. That's the type of balance that I know. I did not know about balance as in financial terms. English is a complicated language, They have a lot of words with similar words with different meanings. Is let's say read, right? R-E-A-D. Read means to read. You're gonna read something, a book or a text or manga or whatever. And there's also the same spelling R-E-A-D, read. And that's basically the past tense of read. To read, have read. So you basically have already read the book, which means that you've already scanned and analyzed and read every part of the book. So it has the same spelling, same word, different meaning. That's how complicated English is. And of course, which is why I'm doing this, I'm adding a little bit of description just to help people who just started out English to understand these terminologies that they don't know. Of course, it's not that groundbreaking, I know, but if it helps, then it helps. I just want to help people who is not yet fluent in English, especially those who are not good with the terminologies or the different meanings with the same words in English, to understand how the system works and to make sure that they understand how to run my function. And as you can see here, first, we have $0 as our balance, right? So what if we withdraw an amount even though there's nothing in our account? So as you can see here, it says insufficient funds, and it states the current balance is $0. So it's a good thing. That means we succeeded in that function. So we're going to go ahead and deposit. So let's say we deposit 3,000. So now it says that the new balance is 3,000, which is really good. So now what if we try to withdraw an amount bigger than 3,000? Let's say 4,000. Of course, it says insufficient funds. The current balance is 3,000, which means we're not able to withdraw a balance or an amount that is bigger than our balance. As you can see here, these are actually the function here. So as you can see here, there's the void withdraw, double amount. So double is basically used here because we will have some decimals here because we're gonna have cents, of course. We're gonna have like 20 cents, let's say 3,020 cents. So let's try and adding a cent over there. Let's say just $3.30. So now we have that one. So it's 3 cents. It's just call it as 3 cents. So as you can see here, that's the new balance. So that's why it's double, is because it allows us to have a decimal point. If we just use int, it is just it just gets the whole number, not with a decimal. So as you can see here, this is the function here. This is the balance. This is the private one. We're getting it using this one over here. Yeah, so we're getting it, and this is the minus equals. This function is basically used to, to subtract from this amount here. And as you can see here, you have this one here. This is going to be what is going to be printing. So if we withdrew the amount, so as you can see here, there's the if the amount is greater than 0, and of course the amount is gonna be, could be less than or equal the balance, then it'll be able to print. I apologize, then we'll be able to withdraw. However, if the amount is greater than the balance, it will print that insufficient funds, and this shows the current balance, because of course it doesn't make sense for you to be able to withdraw an amount greater than the balance that you have. And of course, here's the else. This is basically the other part, which is basically tells you that to withdraw, the withdrawal amount must be a positive number. So we can try that out, and as you can see here, let's say -2. As you can see, it says withdrawal amount must be a positive number. So now that we have seen that, so that's going to be it. We have basically deposited and withdrew, and now we check the balance, and it states here that we have $3,003.03. As you can see, it's a very simple system, but it adds a little bit of quality to it. I know it's not that widely used, and it's not going to be that groundbreaking, but my aim for this system is to help the people who are not yet familiar with these terminologies to understand how these works. Because I know from when we were kids or when we see other children doing stuff, they usually don't understand stuff, and then they end up doing stupid stuff, which is why, I wanted to create a system that has a little bit more descriptive, just to make sure that the people using the system will understand each function and so that they will not do anything stupid or do not make any mistake. It's simple, but this is what I wanted to do, and this is the aim of my system. And this will be all for my explanation and my presentation about my system. And thank you very much for watching. Again, my name is Jonah Robert Lopez from BSIT 2, Section 5, and this is my midterm project for DART. Thank you very much.